All right, so in this video, we're going to take a look at a few tips when it comes to setting up your Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. And ultimately, we're going to help you get the best overall user experience out of this watch. So for starters, we're simply going to swipe down. We're going to go into the quick panel and we're going to click on the settings icon. And the first thing we're going to click on is connections. So if you're somebody like myself that likes to use contactless payments when you're out shopping, you want to come in here, you're going to scroll down and you're going to click on NFC and contactless payments. You can see I've already got mine turned on, but if yours is turned off, this is where you can change that. And then if we scroll down, this is where you can choose the desired app that you want to use. For example, I've got mine set to Google Pay, so I'm going to leave that as is. And if you haven't set this up already, basically from that point, it'll direct you over to your phone where you can go and you can add the specific cards that you want to use with the contactless payments. So now let's go ahead and go back, and now let's go and check out the display settings. So in here, this is where you can adjust the brightness level of your display. And if you want, you can turn on adaptive brightness. And with that, the display will automatically adjust itself based on the amount of ambient lighting. This is also one of the areas where you can turn on always on display if that's a feature that you want to use. And then if we keep scrolling, there's a few more options down here. I do like to use the raise wrist to wake feature. So if the screen is off, all you have to do is just kind of flick your wrist like that. And as you can see, it comes back on. And then you also have the touch screen to wake option. So again, if the screen is off, all you have to do is touch it like so. And you can see it comes back on. You can also adjust the screen timeout function. So if you want to change that from 15 seconds, which I believe is the default, you have options of 30 seconds and 1 minute. And that way you don't have to deal with the screen turning off quite so frequently. So let's go ahead and go back. And something else you can adjust in here is the font that you'll see on the watch. So if we click on font style, this is going to allow you to choose from a few different options in here, and it shows you an example of the fonts and how they look. So if any of those stand out to you, you can choose the one that you like. I think I'll leave it on default for now. You can also choose to make the font bold, so that way you can see things a little bit easier. And then if that's not enough, you can also change the font size. So you can see we can make it as big as possible, or you can go in and you can make it smaller if that's what you're looking for. And I think I'll leave mine somewhere towards the middle. I think about there looks good. And then if we go back and we keep scrolling down, you also have the touch sensitivity option. And with this is going to allow you to use your watch even when you're wearing gloves. So basically it just increases the sensitivity of the display. So during the winter time, maybe you're outdoors, you got gloves on to keep your hands warm. Even though you're wearing gloves, you'll still be able to wear your watch. So now let's go ahead and go back. And the next thing we're going to take a look at is buttons and gestures. And this is where you can customize the functions of the home and the back button. So you can see the double press of the home button. You can actually choose to activate just about whatever app you want. So you can scroll down the list and take a look at the different options. You can see currently I have the double press set to activate the water lock feature. So if I'm getting ready to hop in the shower, or if I'm going to go swimming, I can just double press that home button and activate the water lock, which is really convenient. But you've got other options in here as well. And then if we go back, you can also customize the press and hold of the home button. So you can see I have mine set to activate my assistant, but you also have the option to activate the power off menu if that's what you're looking for. So let's go back once more. And then as far as the back button, for a short press, currently we have it set to go to the previous screen. But if we click on that, you can see you have the option to also pull up your recent apps. We're just going to leave ours on previous screen for now. And then if we keep going, you also have this double pinch option right here. So there's certain things that you can actually control on the watch by simply doing this motion right here with your pointer and your thumb. And for example, if you're getting a phone call, you can actually choose to answer the phone by just doing this right here. And then if we go back, we've got some similar options. For example, you have the shake to dismiss. If you're getting a phone call, if you want to reject the phone call, all you have to do is shake your wrist 2 times. And then you have this option called knock knock, which is actually really cool. And by doing a knock knock gesture, similar to knocking on a door, you can choose to launch whatever application you want. So currently I have mine set to launch my exercises. So if I go like this, like I'm knocking on a door, you can see it pulls up the exercises tile. So now let's go ahead and go back and let's take a look at the health settings. So this is where you can make changes to how frequently the watch is taking your different health measurements. For example, your heart rate, you can see I have mine set to take it every 10 minutes. But if I click on that, I can set it to measure it continuously, or I can set it to manual only. And then if we go back again, same thing for stress detection. I have it set to manual only, but if I wanted to, I could set it to continuously. And then if we go back once more, you can see just other health related metrics. This is how you can change how frequently those measurements are taken. And then one thing you want to make sure you have turned on in here is the auto detect workouts. And this is actually really useful because you don't have to manually go in and start a workout every time. If I go outside and I just start jogging and I forget to start a workout, the watch will actually detect that I'm jogging and it'll start one for me. And it'll just automatically start tracking all my metrics and stats for me. That way, if I forget, I don't lose out on all that information. So let's go ahead and go back. And next, we're going to take a look at security and privacy. And this is actually where you can set up a password for your watch if you want. You have the option of a pattern password or a PIN password, like a numeric password, or you can set it to none. But if you want to have it set up so that if somebody finds your watch, they can't get into it, they'll need the password. This is where you would do that. So now let's go ahead and go back. And then if we go down, you also have wrist detection. I recommend turning this on as well. And basically, the watch will only send you notifications if it knows that you're wearing the watch. So for example, if you're not wearing the watch, you just have the watch sitting on your nightstand. If you get a text message on your phone, it's not going to send that notification to the watch because the watch knows that it's not being worn. So it's just a useful feature that I recommend having turned on. And then if we go back and we scroll down, we can actually go to safety and emergency. And I recommend setting this up as well. You can enter your medical info. That way, if there's ever an emergency and you need to call first responders using your watch, when they get to you, they can actually see your medical info that you put inside the watch. And you actually set this up on your phone. So you can put things in there like any conditions that you have. You can put your age, your height, things of that nature. So they'll have a better understanding of your overall health once they get to you. And then if we go back, we can actually set up our emergency contacts as well. You can see I have mine set to my wife. And this is important because if you ever need to do an emergency SOS, basically if you hit the home button a total of 5 times, you can call first responders. And once you do that, the watch will send a message to your emergency contact. It'll let them know there's an emergency, and it'll also send them your location. So that can definitely be very useful. And then also you want to have hard fall detection turned on. So this way, maybe you're out mountain climbing or something like that. If the watch detects that you've taken a really hard fall, it can automatically reach out to first responders, and basically it'll do the same thing as the emergency SOS. So now let's go ahead and go back, and now we're going to go into accessibility. And in here, there's just a few things that you can take a look at to make your overall experience with the watch a little bit better. If we scroll down and we go to vision enhancements, one thing I like to do is play around with the color inversion. And this is basically like light mode versus dark mode. And you can just see whichever one looks more pleasing to your eye to make things a little bit easier to see. I also like to come in here and turn on the magnification option. So with this, you can actually triple tap on the display. And if you do that, you can see it allows you to zoom into the display. And that way, maybe your eyesight isn't the best. You can zoom into what you need to see to make things a little bit easier. Now, another thing I like to experiment with is actually under interaction and dexterity. And this is a feature called universal gestures. And if you're not familiar with this, it's actually really cool. So if we turn this on, it'll basically ask you to agree to a couple things here, and you just want to hit the check marks right there. And one thing you need to know, if you remember the pinch features as well as the shake to dismiss and the knock knock features that we looked at earlier, if you turn the universal gesture features on, those features that we looked at earlier have to be turned off. You can't use them both at the same time, if that makes sense. Now with the universal gestures feature, you can basically navigate the watch without even touching the watch. So I can make a fist 2 times just like that, and you'll see this yellow circle come up. And then if I do it again like that, you can see it pulls up this separate menu. And basically I can navigate the menu by pinching my fingers like that, the index finger and the thumb. So every time I do that, you can see it advances. And then if I want to go back, I can do it twice. You can see it goes back. And then whenever I want to select any of these options, all I have to do is make a fist. So let's go back. Let's go to the apps. So you can see it selected the apps. And then if I close my fist like that, it selects it and it pulls up the apps. And then if I want to cycle through these apps here, I can use my fingers. So let's pick one of these that will open up. Let's see, we'll keep going. This is the Samsung Health app. So if I want to select that, I can make a fist, and actually I went too far. So in order to go back, you can actually just move your wrist like that. Do that again. You can see it goes back. So now I can double tap to go back to Samsung Health, which is where I was trying to go. And then I can make a fist like that. You can see it takes me into Samsung Health. And then if I want to go back again, I just move my wrist like that. Try that again. Goes back to the home screen. So those are a few of the settings that I like to play around with in order to get the best experience out of my Samsung Galaxy Watch 7. Hopefully you found this video to be helpful. If so, consider giving it a thumbs up, as well as consider subscribing to the channel. I would greatly appreciate it. And aside from that, I appreciate you guys as always, and I'll see you in the next one.